if you think about marketing, obviously you want to be sort of well known. You want people to think, wow, I'm going to change car, I should head to Carwow. But I think actually people really, really trust us, because if you listen to Matt's car reviews, he's really honest. But actually, if you look, there are only 4 auto channels on earth that have more than 10 million subscribers. So first and foremost, it's great that a UK business, we have people watching the channel all around the world. It's a real demonstration, I think, of the ability to own something on the global stage. And I think we're really, really proud of that. It does have massive reach, and it serves 2 purposes for us ultimately. It helps us build brand. So if you watch our drag races, most people aren't going to buy those cars, but it does keep it top of mind because it's entertaining, it's funny. But then the car reviews really are useful in that people watch those videos and then configure the cars and buy them. And so we don't have to spend millions on TV ads or posters on bus shelters. A lot of our marketing is done through content.
Hello, fellow motor traders. Whether you're on the pitch or on the road or underneath the bonnet of a Fiesta, welcome back to DealerPod, the podcast built by real-life dealers for other real-life car dealers. Each week, we sit down with some of the biggest names in the UK motor trade, from industry veterans to the new disruptors, to find out exactly what's working right now and what's changing and how you can use those insights to grow your own dealership. I'm Stephen Douglas, alongside Scott Sibley and Martin Carr, and today's episode is a massive one. This week's show is proudly sponsored by Dealerway, the UK's fastest growing dealer-to-dealer platform, connecting trusted traders all over the country. Before we get started, make sure that you hit that like button, subscribe to the show, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. We drop a new one every week, and it really helps us if you could do that for us, because it keeps the show going week after week. All right, let's get into it. So this is This Week in the Motor Trade.
This Week in the Motor Trade, brought to you by Autograb.
This Week in the Motor Trade, sponsored by our partners Autograb. Now, I've personally been using Autograb myself over the past few months, as I've said before, and it's helping us buy stock direct from the general public, from private listings that I otherwise would have missed. It's all in one user interface. It scrapes Autotrader, Facebook, and other platforms, and it notifies me when cars that I'm looking for become available. And for me, it's been a game changer, to be honest. So make sure you check that out. And if you'd like to know more, then make sure that you check out the YouTube description below and click the link through to their site. And if you sign up using that link and mention DealerPod, you get a huge 25% off your first 3-month subscription. All right, so this week in the motor trade, what's been happening, lads? Any good, Scott, or flat out, or what?
We're busy, yeah. The workshops are busy, body shops busy, and the car sales, I think, we just clicked about 60 we've to do. So we've got 2 weeks left to go. So it's all right for a November, I think, considering what's going on in the country.
In the world, aye.
Yeah. So it's not too bad.
We had a few days where it was dead flat, and I thought, oh, here we go. It's coming up to Christmas. The tap's turned off now, and we're going to batten down the hatches. But then all of a sudden, the last few days, we've been on fire again. So
good.
It's good. We've done 3 this morning. So
good.
Happy days. The big news this morning, the time of recording, our website's down. I don't know if yours is, Scott, but obviously this Cloudflare issue that's hit the news, and Cloudflare is like a sort of piece of software that sits behind lots of big websites, and even ChatGPT's down this morning. So,
is that Scott's website's not a big one?
Scott's website's still online, so it's not a big one.
I'm still live. I'm still dealing.
Still good.
Scott's just mopping up in the background.
Martin, if ChatGPT's down, you'll be totally lost.
You will be lost, Martin, because you live on that.
My little Indian friend.
How busy has it been at Dealerway this week then, Martin? How are we getting on?
Until Cloudflare flicked the switch, it was doing all right.
Aye.
Yeah, so no, it was had a good day yesterday. Started off quite well this morning, and then, like I said, we got a phone call. Literally, it must have been minutes after it happened. A couple of phone calls going, look what's going on, and then spoke to Ollie, the developer, for those who don't know. Spoke to Ollie, and he confirmed it was a global issue. So, unfortunately, we're in the hands of Cloudflare at the minute.
Bit of a nightmare, isn't it? I've got staff sitting next door twiddling their thumbs because I've had to switch all the advertising off that we do, the Facebook ads and Google ads and what have you. So we're not getting any leads in at the moment. So
is Autotrader still on?
Pass. I don't know. Not looked. Not looked. It doesn't affect everything. I mean, not everything's built using it, So I'm sure they'll get it sorted sooner rather than later. I don't know whether it's like a cyber attack or what. No idea.
Well, damn.
No idea. But the world stops now, though, doesn't it? When some piece of computer software goes, it's quite a frightening thing, really, if you think about it. Imagine just if everything just turned off straight away. We'd be lost, wouldn't we?
I said this. Do you remember probably about a couple of weeks ago when the internet went down? Do you remember it was a Die Hard 4, wasn't it? I can't remember what they called it.
Die Hard 4?
When literally there was a cyber attack and they went all in on, we're going to shut the whole economy down. We're going to shut everything down. No lights, no gas, no everything. A fire sale, they called it. And you do think these hackers there'll be someone out there who can do it.
Oh, of course there will be, but I'm just interested in trying to sell a few cars. Just want my website back on. What's going on? No good.
Switch providers.
So we're all doing all right then, other than that today, which is a good thing for November, really halfway through November. So long may that continue. I hope it continues to the end of the month, because if I can just get away with just losing money in December rather than both November and December this year, I'll be quite pleased, to be fair. I think I've said before, I would love to just close the doors in December and give everyone the month off, but it doesn't work like that, does it? In today's competitive used car market, staying ahead means finding the right stock at the right price every time. I use Autograb to do exactly that. With endless listings and constant market shifts, it's tough to know what's worth chasing, but Autograb cuts through the noise. Their platform shows me where the value is, lets me filter for high margin stock, and alerts me when the right cars hit the market. If you want better margins and smarter sourcing, head to autograb.co.uk today. Make sure you mention DealerPod when signing up to get 25% off your first 3-month subscription. So then, today's guest is none other than the CEO of Carwow. I'm delighted to welcome the podcast, Actually, John, before I introduce you, I should have asked how to pronounce your surname, because I've got no idea. I'm going to make a stab at it. You can tell us if I was right. So it's John Veichmanis, is that right?
Oh, Stephen, it's not too bad. Most people call me JV because my surname is stupid. It's really hard to spell and pronounce. So let's just stick with JV.
JV, yeah? Right, that's great. Thanks for coming on, JV. Really appreciate you taking the time.
It was really nice to see you guys. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, fantastic. So I suppose we'll just jump straight in. And before we start talking about Carwow, JV, just tell a little bit about yourself, and how you managed to find yourself as the CEO of this huge company. Like, what's your background, where you come from, how did you get in the motor trade?
Yeah, great question. Well, I've been working for 30 years, so I left uni in 95. And I had a little bit of luck, actually. I always sort of tell this little story when I talk to people about their careers. And obviously, hard work and determination is really important. But a bit of luck as well, I think, is also key. So I left uni in 95 when the internet wasn't really a thing. And my uni called me up, actually. I studied marketing, and they phoned me up and said, have you ever been on the internet? I was like, crikey. You sort of look back now, it's not that long ago, so it's 30 years. I said, I have been on the internet. And I basically, long story short, managed to get a job working at the uni building their first ever website.
Right.
So I studied marketing, and then they taught me HTML, Perl, and I suppose a bit of luck, actually. I was in the right place at the right time. And I suppose it's been a bit of a catalyst that I sort of found myself in this space really early on. And I remember literally teaching some of the people at the uni how to use the internet, what a browser was, and really simple, basic stuff. And I always enjoyed that, I suppose. And it's given me a bit of a taste, I suppose, to always try and stay a little bit of ahead in terms of how you use technology to solve problems or invent new solutions. And so I spent a lot of my career working in consumer technology. So I had stints at Apple, Dell, Skype, and Expedia.
Some big companies there, mate, isn't it?
Cool, yeah. I looked so terrible because I was like working in the US constantly, and probably aged me. And then
how old are you, JV? 25?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And yeah, I sort of got to my sort of early 40s, and I didn't really have a midlife crisis as such, but I was sort of, just thinking about life and was not regretful, but thinking, I wish I'd started my own business, or I suppose the last 30 years there's been so much change, just new businesses, new products created from nothing, and I had a massive mortgage and 3 kids, and thought maybe, starting my own business is not a good move. So I went to a business called Farfetch, which was a luxury clothing marketplace. And it was about 400 people, so smaller than Carwow is now. And we scaled that business up really, really quickly. In 4 years, it went from about 400 to about 4,500 people. And we floated it in New York back in 2018. And I just really loved the sort of the sense of ownership, I suppose. Whilst it wasn't my company, it was a smaller business and had a lot of autonomy to help it grow. And I just loved that. And so I came to Carwow in part. I sort of left Farfetch after we listed it. And, there's similar, I think similar opportunities in that this is a, really, really interesting growing segment. And I think what James built, our founder, particularly on the content side, is so unique in terms of providing eyeballs and distribution to our partners. Actually, it's a really interesting space. I always love cars. I spent way too much of my own money on cars. And so the opportunity to come and work in a technology company that's in the auto category was a bit of a dream come true, to be honest. So that's how I ended up here. And I've been here for 5 years to go from James as CEO about 2.5 years ago.
Fantastic. Good little story, that. So Carwow, for me, when I think of Carwow, my first sort of thing was, you came into the space and it was all around disrupting the new car market, wasn't it? Yeah. And that was I'm led to believe it was, at the time, all by the YouTube channel. I know you've just crossed that milestone of you've got 10 million subscribers on YouTube now, haven't you? Which is phenomenal, really. What a marketing tool that must be. What's the guy who sort of fronted as well?
Matt.
Matt, yeah, he's really good, isn't he?
Yeah, my kids sort of constantly give me a hard time because they spend a lot of time on YouTube, and they go, Mr. Beast, Dad, he's got 300 million subscribers. You've got 10 million. You've got a lot of work to do, type thing. I'm like, bloody hell, kids! Go to work every day. Put food on the table, and that's the best you can come up with. And but actually, if you look, there are only 4 auto channels on earth that have more than 10 million subscribers. So, I think first and foremost, it's great that a UK business, obviously we have people watching the channel all around the world. And, I think it's a real demonstration, I think, of the creative talent we have in this country, and the ability to, really own something on the global stage. And I think we're really, really proud of that. It does have massive reach, and, It serves 2 purposes for us ultimately. It helps us build brand. So if you watch our drag races, most people aren't going to buy those cars, and but it does keep it top of mind because it's entertaining, it's funny. But then the car reviews really are useful in that people watch those videos and then configure the cars and buy them. And so we don't have to spend millions on TV ads or posters on bus shelters. A lot of our marketing is done through content.
Yeah, I mean, the TV aspect of it, you probably get more viewers just on your own YouTube channel than you ever would on a TV advert.
Yeah, but I don't know about you, but my kids, don't watch terrestrial TV. They sort of come in and watch YouTube. And actually, what we're finding now is you can probably, if you watch our channel, you'll see that actually a lot of the videos are now longer format. They're sort of they're designed for the big screen actually, rather than the phone, and they are more entertainment focused because we're seeing more and more people watching in the lounge or their sort of living space. Yeah, it's actually. Yeah, there was a report out on the Beeb actually a couple of weeks ago that YouTube is now the second biggest broadcaster in the UK after the BBC. It's bigger than ITV or Channel 4. So, wow. Yeah, it's a great way of obviously engaging with consumers and those that just love cars every single day. We're really proud of it.
I'm actually surprised it's not first. I thought it would be bigger already than the BBC.
Yeah, well,
I mean, you mentioned, you don't know what your kids are like coming home watching YouTube. Never mind kids, I'm 41 and all I watch is YouTube. So we're the same. We don't even have like a Sky package or nothing anymore. We just use the apps, Netflix and YouTube and Amazon and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
It's totally changed the way people consume media, hasn't it? It's
massively.
Yeah, massively.
And I think, I mean, last year we did 1.1 billion video views on YouTube, and that is more than some TV stations in the UK will generate. We did a further 800 million on short forms on TikTok and Instagram predominantly. So, yeah, it's I think it's an amazing way to build a brand, and it's extremely. I think the thing I love the most, obviously, I'm slightly biased as a CEO sort of type person, but if you think about marketing, obviously you want to be sort of well known. You want people to think, "Wow, I'm going to change car. I should head to Carwow." But I think actually people really, really trust us because if you listen to Matt's car reviews, he's really honest. I think his perspective actually. It's not like we're living in the 1970s. There actually aren't really bad cars anymore. There are different cars.
A disagreement. I disagree with that.
Just be careful what I say. I think generally, it's unlikely that you're going to buy a brand new car and it's going to break down or it's not reliable. And so ultimately, our job is to help people make good decisions about the car that's right for them. And I think we play a really important role. People really trust us to do that well, and that's I think a good reason to get out of bed every day.
They trust you because you entertain them as well, though, don't they? Yeah. I think it's. What you do on YouTube is really clever because, like you see, you've got the very informative stuff where you're doing car reviews and you're telling people about all the features and what have you, but you've also got the silly stuff, drag races and what have you. And I don't think one would work without the other. I think they go hand in hand, and I think that's maybe led to your growth. And if people are watching you consistently, you do gain that level of trust. I mean, we've found, haven't we, Scott? Since we've been doing these podcasts, I mean, the amount of people that reach out to us about asking me questions and advice, or even when we bump into people, saying, "Oh yeah," it just seems to open the door a little bit for you, doesn't it? Like people are instantly sort of like more. See you as more approachable, or like you and more trustworthy. So it's definitely helped us in that way. I mean, it's helped just this little podcast. I mean, we're not 10 million subs, but we've launched our platform using it. And we've got over 3,000 dealers on there now, just off the back of this. It's unbelievable, unbelievable. Yeah. So.
It's interesting, actually. If I go back to you think 30 years ago when I started in this space, that people wouldn't have dreamed of. I can actually sort of broadcast to the world, and it really has democratized content, and I think help people convey their perspectives or their concerns about particular things. It's pretty amazing. I think it's easy to forget actually how far we've come in a really short period of time, actually, where everybody can be a broadcaster and do a really, really good job, actually, and as you guys do. So I think it's pretty amazing.
I was going to say, obviously, with Jeremy Clarkson sort of hanging his coat on and saying he's retiring, could Carwow take the Grand Tour and go to the next level and start this little series off?
And we get lots of people ask us that, actually, Martin. It's I think we're synonymous with drag races. That's the thing we are. World class at, and people love us doing those, and we're constantly iterating the format, and so the drag races and the car reviews are the things we're really famous for, and we want to keep doubling down on that. But we are we're constantly looking at new formats and new ideas. But it's a shame Jeremy's giving up his hanging up his boots, so to speak, there, because it's there is a lack of good. I suppose auto content now on more traditional TV, I think, which is sad, isn't it?
Well, I think if Top Gear needs 3 new presenters, I know where to find. The
4 of us do it. We could, the 4 of us get together.
We tried Jeremy's beer, didn't we?
We did.
Oh yes, yeah.
When the AM Live was stayed over, and it was. Yeah, it was a bit weak. It was a bit. It wasn't very gassy.
Was it? Oh, you went to Diddley Square? Is it Diddley? No, that's the farm, isn't it?
No. We went to the NEC and then we stayed at the Hilton, and it was on draft behind the bar. And I thought, that's his beer. I've never had that before, so
we'll give it a go.
So we had a little go, and it was all right, to be honest. I'd probably have it again.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
So moving on to Carwow then. Obviously, like I was trying to say earlier, it's well known for its new cars.
Yeah.
What's happening on the used car side of the business now?
Yeah, I think if you look over the course of the last 4 years, our strategy is quite simple, actually. That because of all the investment we've made into content, so obviously on the YouTube side, we also own Auto Express in the UK. We own Evo magazine, Driving Electric. We made huge investments in content. So we, there's about 9 million people every year that change car. We basically want, as they start to sort of research and think about what to buy, we want to make sure that we're in the consideration set and we're sort of helping them build a shortlist, get familiar with certain makes and models. And the one thing about our business, I suppose, up until about 21, is that the only way we sort of actually help those people change car was if they wanted a new one. So you could configure a car, obviously then start to receive offers from dealer partners, predominantly franchised dealers. And that was the crux of our business. So watch the content, configure a car, we generate inquiries for dealers. And that's a great business. But ultimately, lots of people on our platform are then saying, well, actually, I watched your video for a Ford Fiesta, and people don't make Ford. There are no Ford Fiestas that I can buy brand new. So they come to our site and they're looking for a used car, and we don't really have any. So over the course of the last 4 years, our focus is how do we better help the people that are already on our platform on the site do more of their car changing with us. So the first thing we did was launch the vehicles sourcing platform. So we internally call it Sell My Car. So this is our consumer to dealer proposition, which has literally grown like a weed. It's actually it celebrated its 4th birthday this year, and that's no bigger than our new car business that we've had for the last decade or so. Yeah, so that's grown really, really quickly. In part, I suppose, because the market's bigger. Anybody that owns a car can sell a car on our platform. Only about 20% of the 9 million people that change car every year want to buy a new one. So it's a much bigger market for us. But that's done really well. I think really well received by consumers. Dealers also really, really love the product. It gives them an alternative sourcing mechanism, and it's I suppose a really efficient way of buying more inventory. The next phase was, to answer your question though, Stephen, is to figure out, well, actually, if you've bought cars on the platform or if you've bought them elsewhere, how do we help you retail those cars and sell them? So dealer to consumer. And so you probably see, if you look on the site, that we now have a used car business with about 50,000 used cars on the platform. It's a long way to go, and it's still very much an MVP sort of basic, sort of first generation product. But we are putting a lot more investment into doing that, in part because dealers are asking us to do that. The UK is quite an interesting market. That if you go to Europe and look at the sort of used classified space, you'll see that there's typically at least 2 large players. If you go to the US, you've got Car Gurus, you've got Cars.com. You go to Germany, you've got Mobile, and you've got Auto Scout. But in the UK, obviously, Autotrader is the dominant. There is only really a single large player, and we think we have enough traffic to be a good number 2 if you competitor. It's not a very good description. We're going to be a number 2. I should rephrase that. I'm a marketeer. But I suppose on a traffic basis, we are already the second largest auto marketplace in the UK. But we don't actually have a really mature used car product, and that's the next horizon or the next chapter for us, because consumers expect us to actually have used cars on the platform. They keep saying, well, I came here to find used cars and you don't have any. And as the CEO, you go to bed at night, that sort of makes you quite miserable, because it's there's a really good opportunity there. And, I think a lot of dealer partners obviously, massively respect what Autotrader can do. It's a great product, but I think, would like a good competitor. I think that's a good, healthy dynamic in any industry. And so we're really keen to lean in and do exactly that. So leverage the traffic we've got, and ultimately that there's a bit of a sequence in terms of building the product, but also just investing in, account management and resources that partners have a good experience with us, and that just takes time to build up and create.
Obviously, it's very, very topical at the moment.
Yeah.
Surrounding
I've had a lot of calls, Stephen. I've had a lot of calls.
I bet you have. Yeah. I mean, we're not here to bash Autotrader.
No.
We've Scott uses it in his business. I previously used it in my business, and we've got a lot of friends in the motor trade who rely on Autotrader daily to help them move those vehicles. But there's everyone knows we've been over it. They've got some various issues at the moment, and I think it's a really good time for a company like yourselves to really ramp up and see if you can capture some of that market. I'm just interested to hear from you. Why do you? I mean, I know they're an institution, really, aren't they? They've been around as long as anything. But why do you think it's so? Why do you think there is only one? Why do you think nobody's been able to like get in there before? I mean, there's been others who've tried, haven't they? And spent a lot of money at it as well, and they've not even been able to make a dent. What's so great about them or what they've been doing that's sort of curtailed that? And why do you think Carwow could be a bit different?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Steve. A great question. I mean, it is, Autotrade's a great business. I mean, I remember when I was a 17-year-old and I bought the magazine and bought my first Ford Fiesta E-Reg in red. I lived in Manchester and it was stolen 6 months later, and I had to go and buy another one. So I think it's, it's a brand that's synonymous with buying a used car. And I think the transition from magazine to online has been really well executed. I think the reason there isn't a good number two is down to marketing economics. That are a large proportion of the people that use Autotrader start there. That is, they type it into their browser bar and head to Autotrader. And if you want to compete with that, you probably have to buy the traffic, and it's really expensive. And I don't think the economics of that actually work. If you have to sort of go onto TV into TV advertising or buying the traffic on Google, it's very expensive, and I don't think the economics, for the faint-hearted, for want of a better phrase.
No.
I think we feel differently about it because of the investment we've made in content for the past decade. We have a lot of traffic. We do have a lot of people just typing Carwow into the browser bar because they've watched our YouTube video. If you watch my video, it tells you to go to Carwow. And so I think we feel, well, it's fact, I suppose. We have a huge number of eyeballs on our platform every day. We just don't have used cars on the platform. So I definitely not in sort of Autotrader bashing sort of territory, because I think it's an amazing business, and but I do feel really strongly that I think there should be a good competitor. I think that's really healthy for innovation, for giving dealers choice, and
well, it'll push them as well, though, won't it?
Exactly.
Ultimately, it'll be a better outcome for consumers and dealers. Having someone to compete with, because you rest on your laurels, don't you?
Yeah. No, I think we all feel, competition's good, and that drives, makes us all better. And so that to me is something that we are really keen to do now. We've, it's quite purposeful, actually. We're not just jumping on a bandwagon because of the recent news. That you can see, actually, we launched our used car platform about 9 months ago, and we are steadily growing that part of the business. And the thing I'm excited about is, we see some really cool, and we learn from dealers every single day. So actually, we've got dealers on the Sell My Car platform, so they're buying cars in our auction, and so they'll know by 5:30 in the afternoon if they've secured a car. And then they're taking the images, removing the sort of the background, putting in using a bit of AI to put in the the sort of dealer backdrop, and then they're advertising them on our site, on our used car, on our dealer to consumer site, to start generating inquiries before they've even collected the car. I think that's so cool. And you think, well, actually, I could productize that. It's because that's in everybody's interest. If dealers can move the car faster, potentially the consumer gets a slightly better price for it. So, there's so many things you can do by actually connecting the two products together. And those are the areas we think also we can just differentiate ultimately. If it takes 7 days to go collect the car, then potentially you could have found a buyer for it before you've even put it through the prep center, and that is pretty cool, I think.
Yeah, well, the dealers have done that for a while with various online car auctions, BCA and Manheim. Regularly see dealers buying cars on those platforms and removing the backgrounds and putting them straight on their websites within 20 minutes.
Some don't even remove the backgrounds.
Yeah, some don't. Do they? No.
I suppose we can just productize it and just make it really convenient and simple to do, really. So,
We've done that a couple of times, but we stopped doing it because we got a backlash from the customer who was selling the car.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, what you'd do is you'd agree the purchase, and then I'll come and collect it in 7 days' time. They would then go on your website and say, oh, who are these all about? And then they would see their car listed at maybe 2,000 quid margin. Yeah, and then when you go down, if there was a problem that it wasn't described correctly, which 9 times out of 10 they're not, and then you try and negotiate that, they say, well, you've already got £2,000 profit on it. Yeah. So we found that as a barrier. So we now... We'll bring them into stock, but we don't actually put them live on the website until we've physically got a hold of them. As soon as we've got a hold of them, and we'll bring them back on the transporter. That's why we do it, but we stopped doing it for that reason.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I'll think about that. So that is, I see what, Yeah, the worst thing in the world is, I suppose most consumers don't understand that you need to make some margin, and they just
no, the thing we do this for free. No, the thing we do this because we love them so much.
And after 3 months, buy it back.
Yeah.
I was going to say, obviously, you were saying before you had 50,000 cars on the platform now.
Yeah.
What? Obviously, it's a total different prospect, I take it, than what Autotrader is, and what's been the sort of dealer feedback you've been getting from the current users?
Yeah, the 50,000 that are currently on the platform, generally, we've had really, really positive feedback. I suppose it's an entry level product, so it's priced like that ultimately. So I think it's delivering, by and large, really positive results for dealers. It tends to skew. We've larger. Obviously, we are, I suppose, synonymous with franchise dealers. So we have a lot of the franchise dealers putting their used stock on. We have a lot of the larger indies on there as well, and it's working really well for them. I think, going back to the question around how to compete, the biggest challenge is ultimately, it's expensive to operate a used car marketplace until you have a competitive breadth. You need breadth of stock or inventory on the platform to make the unit economics work as well. That's the big. If you've only 50,000 cars, well, clearly that's nowhere near as good as if you had 400,000. And so that sort of ramp up phase is quite challenging, and that's what we're sort of working through at the moment in terms of how do we do that as quickly as we can.
It's quite a good start, though. I mean, they're only 8 times ahead of you, and they've been going for 50 years or something. So it's not a bad effort to be fair.
Stephen, I say you could come to one of our team. They cheated me up.
Do you find the cars that are selling on the platform, are they more like nearly new, maybe like 3 or 4 years old? Somebody's maybe been onto Carwow looking for a new car, and then they've came across one which is maybe 2-year-old or 3-year-old, and they think, oh, that's a better option.
Yeah, it's a really good question, Scott. So we definitely see that behavior. So if you configure a car, so a brand new one, we actually match used cars to the specification, which is quite cool, actually. So if you configure a red Audi A4 with a certain
that's good.
certain spec, we'll try and find either an exact used match or the closest matches. So that, for consumers, that's really cool because they actually get more choice. So actually, I can get a year-old one and obviously save some money. So that works really well for the franchise dealers, and they really like that because it's really high intent users. But what we find is then there's the more sort of traditional classified route that you can go to Carwow, hit used, and we list all of the cars. And in there we've a broad range actually, from anything from a year old down to sort of even sort of 15 years old, and that those people are watching our videos and are coming purposely to browse the used car inventory. And I think that's more typical of the type of intent that you'd see on other marketplaces. So we see both.
Do you have Deal Builder on your platform?
We don't have Deal Builder. No. I think we will have Deal Builder. Don't no. I'm not no Deal Builder.
I would stay clear on that one. So how do you see Carwow's used car platform offering like evolving for dealers then?
Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, we want to be a really good destination to help them sell used cars. And I suppose if you look at the biggest change over the last 4 years, when we only sold new car, we only really dealt with franchise dealers. But with Sell My Car now, we're dealing with a much broader range of dealers. We have probably a pretty good cross-section of the entire dealer population buying cars on the platform. And we've got good relationships with them. And so we want to help them also sell the cars. So that's the biggest area of focus. I think what we want to do as well is, we have a lot of data and insights on the platform that we, again, I think many others in this category have done a good job of, building data-driven product that help dealers make good or better decisions, or add to the, the information that they've got available. We have, just a treasure trove of data that our account managers can, turn up on site and provide sort of insights for dealers. But I want to build that into the product. So again, we can just help people make good decisions. And I suppose ultimately for me, it's just leveraging the audience we've got and creating a good number 2 destination. It's interesting when you look across other categories. Actually, I know when it's interesting you look at Rightmove at the moment, that's coming under kind of comparable pressure to some degree to Autotrader around sort of price increases. But Zoopla came along and in part was, backed by estate agents.
It was.
They I think part of the pitch was, look, you need a good competitor. This is healthy. It's good for the market. And, I think many of the estate agents got behind that and helped Zoopla, start to thrive from an early start.
Mm-hmm. They couldn't compete in the end, though, could they? They couldn't get there, and they've turned more into like a data company. Yeah, really, haven't they?
Because they have a YouTube channel, Stephen. That's
right. What kind? Oh, sorry, go on.
I remember in the beginning when it was a sort of a new car destination, and then I remember that when you flicked the switch into marketing, and effectively even sold to the manufacturers by going, look, if you want to advertise your Citroen C3, we'll actually drop it into Suzuki SZ4s or whatever, you know what I mean? The competitive market.
Yeah.
I remember you switching that up into a marketing strategy, and then, like I say, the building of the YouTube's just been absolutely mental to look at.
Yeah, no, it has actually. And actually, a large part of our business, about 20% of our revenue is actually generated from OEMs now. So advertising cars on our platform. Again, because, you think about many of the new brands that are coming into the UK, many of the existing brands are moving into EV powertrains. So you see people that are, bought brand X and are considering switching to brand Y if it's got an EV powertrain. And so a decent slug of our revenue actually is from advertising on the platform. And again, that's data driven because we know so much about our audience in terms of which videos they've watched, which videos they've what content they've read, what they've configured, what they're currently driving. It's and again, that's why we really want to try and this definitely sounds a bit CEO. We do want to sort of democratize that and build it into the product. So people can have access to some of the information that we have, and again, just make better decisions.
Jamie, just going off piece a bit. Actually, I've just thought of something.
I know, I'm going off piece, Stephen.
No, me, I'm going off piece. Your YouTube channel, you must be making a few quid off that just alone. 10 million subs. I bet you that's a big chunk of change coming in.
No, it does well, yeah. So it basically. We obviously have a big team, so we've really invested into content. So we've 70 people in Matt's team. There's a lot of people,
wow.
Not all working on the YouTube channel, but on Auto Express as well. But the YouTube channel pays for itself, so it makes a surplus and brings down our cost of acquisition, which is pretty cool.
That's good. Yeah, that's excellent. That
cool way to utilize it.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool.
Going back the used car platform, what kind of results or like early signals are you seeing from dealers currently using it?
Yeah, I think I think the thing we feel most happy about is when dealers look at the cost for the subscription and look at the ad views and the number of inquiries they're getting, either calls or via email or messages on the platform. That typically we are. I suppose most dealers are reversing the cost into a cost per sale, and we are seeing really strong economics there. I think generally, by and large, most dealers are happy with where that's landing, and I think for a large part of them now, of those 50,000, in most cases, we are the second largest drive of inquiries for them now. Now, obviously, as we add more, we're distributing those inquiries across more dealers. But again, we think we've a lot more traffic that we can add on top as that particular business grows. But overall, I suppose I would say that. But genuinely, I think we're seeing by and large most dealers are getting really good performance from the product. I suppose it's good to get in early. I suppose as well. That's
of course, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. How many dealers do you currently have on there?
So we've about 250 on there. So it's quite small. Obviously, they are.
There must be very large dealers. Yeah, of course. Yeah, so it's probably a very good time for a smaller dealer to get on there, isn't it? And share some of the initial the initial sales coming through from it. We're not many to compete with. So definitely.
I'm sure Dealerway could help with the trade side of things as well.
Yeah.
That's it.
Conversation to be had there, John.
Business development, Martin. Business development conversation.
Well, exactly. You've got to look at every opportunity, Jamie.
No. Definitely.
Would you say Carwow's audience is different from other marketplaces?
I do. I think it's a mass market audience. I think it's definitely slightly weighted towards a more premium audience. I think it is mass market, but there is probably a slight weighting. If you sort of look at the distribution curve, probably a little bit weighted towards premium customers. So again, we know when we talk to dealer partners that we have a very high credit check. Our customers tend to perform slightly better in terms of passing through credit checks for finance, etc. And we know that they tend to buy slightly higher cars. I think it's in part because there is a cohort of new car buyers that we're switching into used. But I think that will. Do
you think you need to change that a little bit slightly though to get more and more dealers involved?
Yeah, I mean, I think our perspective is we are relevant to everybody that wants to change car, and therefore we want to make sure that we have sufficient breadth of choice on the platform in terms of cars that are listed to meet all needs. And I think that's the reason we believe in this so much. If you talk to Matt, our YouTuber, the whole premise of how we do car reviews is you guys probably relate to this. Most people, when they're thinking about buying a car, have like a mate that they'll go chat to, like down the pub or phone up, for a bit of advice. I was thinking about this and that. What do you think? Can you give me a bit of confidence that I'm, not totally mad?
They normally bring the mate with them, and he kicks the tires and stops them buying the car. Yeah. We don't like the mate. We don't like the mate.
And Matt, I the way we think about it is that's how we want to help consumers, and in part actually our focus on used is if you went to ask your mate and he only recommended new cars. That doesn't make sense. And so we want to make sure that the recommendations we make on the channel are fit for everybody, depending on their circumstances, budget, how much they want to invest in a car, and that's why we're really determined to do this well.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't take Matt Watson car shopping with me though. I think if he started kicking the tires, it'd be terrible.
Quick message from our sponsors, Dealerway. Attention DealerPod listeners, do you want a better, quicker, more profitable way of trading out of your part exchanges or overage stock? List your cars on Dealerway today and connect with over 2,000 vetted trade buyers actively looking for vehicles. No hidden fees, no hassle. Start your own custom auctions from your desk or the palm of your hand in our game-changing app. or advertise your stock on quick, easy, buy it now listings to our eager buyers who are waiting to quickly acquire vehicles. What are you waiting for? Join Dealerway today at dealerway.co.uk and streamline your disposals. So, obviously with all the YouTube content that you put out there as well, how does that content sort of translate as an advantage to your retailers who use cars? Do you think it does?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Actually, quite a few retailers have loaned us cars for drag races. You'll see sometimes we put their plates on there. So we actually also
we would love to get an invite off Matt or you to one of these drag races and get one of the cars, mate.
Yeah, no,
put that on the cards.
Well, we actually, in September we ran a competition on our sourcing platform. So the dealers that increased their volume, for every additional incremental car they bought, they sort of went into a draw, and I think 10 of them went, and we did a dealer drag race against Matt. And
all right, I never seen that.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's on LinkedIn. I didn't get an invite though. I think they're all sort of worried I'll probably lose actually, but yeah, but no, I think broadly. Obviously the OEMs want that exposure for the brands, and they often loan us the cars, obviously from their press fleet, to sort of raise awareness of different makes and models. But there's always opportunities across Carwow or Auto Express for dealers to sort of raise awareness of what they're doing, and particularly if they've got interesting. I think the nice thing about used cars is so many interesting cars. They've got either an interesting history or just really interesting spec, and we're always. We've got this concept on Auto Express when we talk about a 3-car garage. So rather than buy a new car, you buy sort of 3 sort of far less expensive cars that are cool. And I just think there's loads of interesting content you can create around used cars.
Yeah, well, there is massive. I mean, we're friends with a couple of dealers who've started their own YouTube channels and got some big followings doing the same thing and helping them. It's helping them buy cars direct from the public and sell cars direct to the public. Yeah,
I love that stuff. Yeah, it's
cool. We know it works. Yeah. One thing I was going to mention here. Obviously, I know we've touched on the Autotrader. I don't want to really go over Autotrader a lot, but I think in the dealer community. We see it all the time in the various Facebook groups that we're all part of and what have you. I think one thing that Carwow really could do with focusing on is the feedback from dealers and just making dealers feel like they've got a voice on the platform and that they're not being
the two-way street.
They're not being dictated to.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask you how's Carwow approaching its relationship with dealers on the platform?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think ultimately, and again, this sounds perhaps slightly corporate-y, but it's generally not meant in that way. But I think ultimately, first of all, I think it starts at the top. So it starts with me ultimately in terms of making sure that we create a culture where we listen to partners. And probably the thing I'm most proud of my time at Carwow is that I think when we originally started, your opening remarks, Stephen, were we were seen as this disruptor. But I think if you asked a lot of dealers, they would say, well, actually, you were the sort of consumer, you do everything to sort of...
I didn't want to say it.
For the consumer, but you didn't really care at all about dealers. And I think that perhaps is more of what I would describe as a retail focus. Retailers buy things for particular consumers and they do everything to make sure that they put those people at the heart of what they're doing. But we're a marketplace, and ultimately dealers pay our wages. And I'm not saying we shouldn't put consumers first, but we also have to put dealers first. We have to strike a balance between what's right on our platform for consumers and what's right for dealers. And I think we didn't do a good job of that from the early stages. And I've spent a lot of time, first of all, listening to dealers. I'm out on the road a lot. I spend a lot of time with dealers. If any of your listeners want to meet me, drop me an email. I'm always on the road, and I've learned so much, and I love learning about this industry. So I think that then stems down through the organization in terms of, if I'm out on the road meeting dealers, listening, changing the product based on, what I've heard, that creates a culture where there's an expectation that, everybody needs to do this. And I'm very explicit that, the end of the day, dealers pay our bills. We have to build a platform. We can't do everything, but we need to listen. We need to explain, right, okay, these are the things we're doing now based on the feedback, and these are the things we're going to do in the future, because we can't do everything overnight. That's just not practical or possible. And I do think we've made good. A lot of the feedback I get from dealers, again, I suppose I'm slightly biased because I'm the CEO, but I think most people have acknowledged that there has been a significant change, and I'm always open to listen to any dealer and whatever they have to say, and I appreciate them spending the time to do that. And I think if we want to become a good number 2, that's what you've got to do. You've got to work harder to earn that right ultimately, and the privilege of getting to that point. And I think you can't do that through being arrogant or just sort of dismissing what people sort of tell you.
Well, I'm a dealer, JV, and obviously I'm a customer of yours. I use the platform to purchase cars. Can I give you some live feedback now?
Of course you can. Yeah.
Right.
Hang on, I'm going to get my notepad.
Right. You need to fix.
You're going to need more than a notepad.
Tomorrow morning, this is numero uno, number 1. This needs fixed
tonight,
tomorrow,
Stephen. Tonight, not tomorrow.
On the Carwow platform, world exclusive, right? And if you do it, I want all the props for changing it. In fact, not if you do it, you're definitely going to do it, because I speak to loads of dealers and they tell us, they all say the same thing, right? A certain competitor of yours, I'll not name them, does this, right? You don't do it.
Yeah.
Will you do us a favour? The customer's photographs, will you make sure they're all bloody symmetrical in the same? Get them. You need the customer, the car photos to be taken using the template on someone's phone, so they're all taken the same way, so all the pictures look the same. Because when you look down the site, it doesn't look good.
No. It looks messy.
I'll be honest, it puts me off. It puts me off. I don't know why, subliminally, but
no. I totally get it. And when I log on, I log on every day, and it does. It makes it harder, I think, to sort of do the job in terms of scanning through the photos quickly, just to figure out what you want to shortlist. So no, I can't do it by tomorrow, but I promise I will make sure that's done. It is
right.
It's already
that's
under.
a deal. I'll hold you to it, mind.
Can I add to that? Can I add to that little section about photos? The other competitor, I think they must have a team who approve the photographs in more detail, where you would have a description on your platform where they might not mention that all the 4 alloy wheels are scuffed, but they might just have them in the photographs. But because it's not in the description, they're not matching up. So the other competitor would then speak to the consumer and say, "Look, we need to put in your description here, or we need to amend your photographs to make sure that it's right." Because sometimes what happens with us is we might end up going there, and then the customer says, "Oh, well, it was all right with the platform. They approved it and they said it was fine." So we say, "Well, it's going to cost 250 quid to sort those wheels out." And they say, "Well, it's not our fault. We're not adjusting it." So sometimes we've found it with Carwow that there's been things like that where they've slipped through on the descriptions of the photographs.
Yeah, no, okay, that's really useful, Scott. Yeah, let me. I'll take that one down as well. Actually, that's easier to fix as well. So, no, great, thank you. I'll come back to you.
Other than that point about the photographs, the actual flow of Carwow's website and the buying process, I prefer to your competitors.
Oh, wow.
So there you go.
Good.
Yeah, there you go. I do prefer it. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Steve.
That's some accolade if Stephen said that.
We actually,
I actually copied something off there for Dealerway, so
you did,
thanks for
that. We've got 2 buyers, and it's interesting. They're both called Stephen, as it happens. And one Stephen likes buying from Motorway, and one likes buying from Carwow.
Will you stop mentioning on the podcast, Stephen? When I get Stephen to do this, because
I'm talking about 2 buyers.
I think people sit there and think, "Oh well, Stephen must run
he's a
his
buyer.
errands for him." No, he's like his errand boy, and I sit and think they don't know it's.
Well, to be fair, you book his hotels and everything from, so
He does, yeah.
They don't know it's a different Stephen. So will you just please say that by their full name? Because I can't have it out there that I work for you. It's just it's not happening.
I don't know how to explain the full name other than Stephen and Stephen.
Well, see that surnames?
All right, okay.
I'm going to pull you on it every time you say it now.
Right, okay. If you shout Stephen, they both come running, but we've got one's called George.
So does Stephen.
He's actually called George as well. They both are. Yeah, it's very confusing. But but one prefers Carwow and one prefers Motorway. for their own little, like, you know, I don't know what the word is, preferences, I suppose, or the experience what they have. We've been down to Carwow, your offices in London. We went down earlier this year, and we went down last year as well, which was interesting because there was like a bit of a dealer day, and we'll bounce some ideas around the table. And it was good. It was good to come down and meet the team, I suppose, which was good.
No. Really appreciate you doing that as well. It's great to get the dealer sessions we've run are really helpful actually, because we get a lot of feedback, and it's also you can sort of just help prioritize it because there's often consensus around look, these things really need to be addressed, and it really helps the team just figure out what to focus on.
There was one of the buyers asked as well, if you don't mind me asking. He's put on here winning bids. He said so we can meet the reserve, cap clean, and still not own the vehicle. And he says provisional bids and offers are handling are quite weak with Carwow, where the buyers, our guys are constantly chasing up Carwow and saying, you know, have we bought this car? Have we not bought the car? Yeah. So that little interaction where the somebody at Carwow needs to be, which maybe they are, and maybe they can't get in touch with the consumer or something like that, to try and get that deal on. To try and he was saying he thinks that there's an opportunity there where you'd be able to convert more deals if they could try and get that space cut down more. Yeah.
So there's definitely, I think this the last mile in terms of post auction. I suppose that there are three things that we need to obviously focus on in terms of collecting the documents, and often we do that for the dealers rather than them do it themselves. There's obviously scheduling the transport. Either we do it for the dealer or we help the dealer with the scheduling, and obviously just getting everything confirmed by the seller. And I suppose we've thrown human endeavor at that, if you like. So we've employed a lot of people to sort of manage that. What we are doing, a lot of the technology investment has gone into trying to make that part of the process just faster through automation. So, you know, often the only way we can actually get confirmation is by talking to a customer rather than allowing them to self-service. And that's where we're desperately trying to invest so we can speed the thing up. And then the human resources, we think it's still really important that we have people that dealers can contact or customers, but they can be doing more productive work or just dealing with exceptions rather than, you know, chasing. Actually, can you confirm that, you know, you've accepted this offer and then we can collect the car in 7 days or whatever the sort of time frame might be. So yeah, there is. I think you'll see a lot of change there over the course of the next 6 to 12 months because that is the biggest area of focus for us.
You mentioned also, he says if an offer, if you get like 20, I think it must be the consumer has 24 hours to accept the offer from the dealer.
Yeah,
and then it gets binned off. What he said was, which Stephen, the other Stephen does it, not Stephen there.
Not me.
The Stephen that dresses in yellow, not blue.
Yeah. Not this one. He's George. He says with motorway you have like 3 days. So he says from a conversion point of view, you can put your offer in, the clock's ticking, and you might get something back from motorway saying, you know, it could be 3 days later, which says you've bought that car. And it could be that the consumer's maybe been at work, on holiday or whatever, but they said that your time frame's a lot less. So then you're waiting and you think, oh, well, have I bought the car or not? And then the car just disappears from the system. So they said, could they extend that?
Yeah, that's good feedback. That's super interesting, actually. Yeah, let me take that one away and chat to the team. That is. They
said your conversion would go up because you would end up speaking to dealers and say, "Oh, we've finally got in touch with this customer and the deal's on," type of thing, you know.
Yeah. Let me have a look at that. That is a good question. That's a good point, Scott. I'll come back to you.
Sorry, I know we're turning this into a Q&A about the process of the business.
I've got one from a dealer as well.
But I've got another quick one. My idea for it would be when you've purchased a vehicle, you've won an auction in a Carwow auction. Now, obviously, there's some communication between yourselves and the customer, and then obviously there's communication from ourselves and the customer, and we'll obviously sometimes put the customer in touch with another person, a driver.
Yeah,
and it could be a confusing journey for the customer, and obviously it's a bit disjointed. We in my business, our contact rate when we're when we're trying to contact customers for finance inquiries, goes through the roof using WhatsApp. WhatsApp's just mega. Yeah. And I think if you've done some sort of, if you've already planned this on the customer journey with the customer and said, when the auction finishes, we're going to start a WhatsApp group between an agent from Carwow, someone at the dealership, and yourself, and then those three people can talk to each other about like arranging the collection of the vehicle.
That's an interesting idea. So you pull the deal, so it's a three-way.
So nothing's lost in translation.
Yeah, because we do use WhatsApp at the moment. Yeah, it's Carwow to customer. That's a really cool idea.
Well, I'm £250 an hour, JV. Just send us the invoice. I'll send you the invoice afterwards.
Yeah, it is a good idea, that, Stephen.
That's a really good idea. Yeah, I love that.
I told him to say that last week.
No,
anyway,
you didn't.
Martin, what were you
going to say? So I think Martin's, because when you were coming on, Martin put out a question to our audience in our Facebook group, and I think you might have a couple of things that a few of the other dealers want to talk to you about.
I was going to say main ones, obviously, you've already sort of covered, which is the standardization of the imagery. Poor images, lack of important images of interiors, etc., was sort of one of the questions. I believe this one must be about marketplace. So, can you improve the sales results to include descriptions of the cars from our DMS, as currently that doesn't pull through? You only get images and the standard stats on the car. Nothing we write about the specification, service history, etc. pulls through, which is a question from Ian.
So I have this one on my list. This is a frequent request, actually, that many partners, people like you guys, write a really cool description. And at the moment, we don't pull that through. We're also not pulling through videos at the moment either. So talked to James Bagger, I'm sure you wouldn't mind me saying this, from Car Dealer, and he's got like really cool videos that he creates of each car, and those aren't pulling through. So we do have that on our roadmap. So those should be fixed in the next few weeks.
That's good.
And to be fair, again, the other ones were video, and also, again, I think the majority seems to be about what Stephen was saying before, is the sort of uniformed sort of approach within the platform. But they're the main ones. So to be fair, even though it's quite limited questions, it's quite good because there's
consensus.
Everyone's saying the same thing.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Really helpful. Right, when I fixed it, I'm going to come back on. And
right, okay.
2 minutes.
Include. We'll find someone else, man. We'll find someone else.
To be fair, that's what I was meaning before. Is I like I say, I remember when Carwow first sort of entered the marketplace, and it was this disruptor, and it got everyone's back up, and honestly, it felt like you were fighting Carwow, especially with other dealers who were on Carwow and what have you. And you have changed that sort of perception and got dealers involved more and more.
Yeah,
And it does feel like a bit more of a sort of two-way street where you are sort of using what you have done well with the marketing side of stuff to then bring it back to the dealer, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, that genuinely
that's the way it looks.
Yeah, no, and that generally is what we're trying to do with, again, without sort of talking corporate sort of stuff. I mean, we I think we had a long way to go actually to get back to that point. And if you're
he's working on my Christmas card list.
no, but that's why it's nice to listen. And if people watching this think, oh, you're talking a total crap, then ping me, and I'd love to chat to anybody that doesn't feel that we're listening. I get, we can't do everything straight away, as I said, but we definitely listen, and we want to. So
I've got one more question, which was just from the buyers, because I know they'll be watching this and they'll be saying, "Why didn't you ask?" They put on transport. We are now reluctant to use Carwow transport due to missing so much damage, test drive issues. We've stopped buying over 180 miles radius, and we only use our own drivers, which is limiting the amount of cars we've had. So they said that they've used, I don't know if you use 4 companies, but the 4 companies who you use, we've had them. And then when the car turns up, what they said it's not like a little, everybody misses something on a car from time to time, like a little bumper scuff or something like that. They said it can be like £700 or £800 of the damage. And because the margins are so tight, you can either end up working for nothing, or you're fixing the cars, or you're probably going to enter into a loss. Like bad rattly engines, and as soon as we jump in, you move them, and the drive shaft's gone and things like that. And then I think what they've said is when they report that to Carwow will say, look, you need to take that up with the transport company. We then go to the transport company, and the transport company just go, well, it's we just deliver it. You know, there's nothing in place. And we did a Teams with Autotrader a couple of weeks ago with their new Moves thing.
Yeah.
It's not MoveX, it's like the Moves thing they do.
Yeah.
And their drivers all run off like it's a bit like a normal grading system what you'd have at BCR or Mannheim.
Yeah.
And they'll go around and, you know, your report will go through their system and then they check the damage against that. And then they would then spot any damage which wasn't against what the customer was on. Are your companies who you use, do they use that kind of system, or have we just been unlucky with some of the transport companies, or do you know, if there's complaints coming through from us as a buyer, do you log them as a your end and then look and go, hey, look, we're getting loads of complaints from this one company we're using. There's a pattern there. We're not going to use them anymore.
Yeah, no, of course. So we have a clear scoring system, and so any feedback from dealers around the transport that's provided, not just the company, but actually down to the sort of driver level,
right?
We can track and obviously use that as feedback. I think obviously we to the earlier point, the sort of last mile point is where we're putting all of the tech investments, and transport is obviously something where we believe we can really step change where we are at the moment, in part for making sure that we've got qualified people actually appraising the cars before they drive them, so ensuring that they're doing a good walk around the car. We do take the car for a short drive, so to check for any damage, and we do offer an insurance for more significant damage. So we have put in place some backstops ultimately to provide. I suppose that the more difficult piece to, I suppose you have to believe that we can spot damage on vehicles. If we train people well, if we use technology, we should get to a really good point that you don't feel you have to send somebody from your team to go and inspect a car. I suppose the mechanical condition is more difficult to check, and therefore we tend to focus on trying to use insurance there to cover significant losses. And that, I think, most dealers feel works well. So a lot of the work this comes back actually to the image point in terms of how do we get more unified images. And again, I definitely sound like a sort of tech CEO now, sort of talking about AI, but I suppose we have a level of conviction that we can use computer vision to spot damage when the customer's taking the shots. And if you do a really, really good job of that, again, I think a visual inspection is still the sort of gold standard, but you're arming the person collecting the car with a lot more data, and we feel that the two thing with better training, better reporting of sort of those that are underperforming, and again just coaching or training and saying actually this particular person isn't sort of meeting our standards, therefore we don't want them collecting cars for us. With those collection of initiatives, I think we can get it into a point where people feel as the goal has to be that you're as happy to use it, you feel as good about using the third party transport as doing it yourself.
100%, yeah.
I think it was when we were using Carwow transport. It's good because I know they're a third party company, but they're there from Carwow, so it looks like and if there's something not described correctly, it doesn't look like it's the dealer trying to renegotiate. There's like the middle person there. It puts a bit of weight behind it.
Yeah, no. I think that's our job ultimately, Scott. I think if the description isn't correct, then we need to deal with that, and it's those are difficult conversations. We all know that, and we don't want to dodge our responsibilities, but we just want to make sure we can sort of try and prevent those errors happening. And I think we have made really good progress over the course of the 4 years that we've been running Sell My Car, but there's still more to do there, which we're excited about.
One of my buyers made an interesting point, which I never thought of, was when a transport driver goes to the house to collect the car, and if he's a plate driver, and these companies, they'll book obviously the transport, it flows. So it might be somebody collecting a car from us from Manchester, and they'll know, right, well, I'm going to take that up to Newcastle, and then I've got to get it myself to Silverlink, to SG Petch, because they've got a car to go there, and then after that I'm going to go there. So if this first one, what he's collecting for us, gets aborted, then their whole system changes, because then the drivers think, well, well, how am I going to get there to get there?
Yeah.
So it's in the guy's interest who's collecting the car to not get that abort.
Yeah.
So to take the car.
Yeah, because he's thinking that, well, my day's planned, I want to be home for 7. So he might not be 100% truthful, which we've found sometimes as well. But that's down, I suppose, the owner operator of the transport company to have the right inspectors.
We actually had James Wilson, the CEO of our CCO of Motorway on a while back, and I had the same conversation with him. I personally buy 50 cars a month from both, shared between both platforms, and so I've constantly got drivers out on the road collecting cars, and I actually don't use any external transport companies, including your own. Not because I've had a bad experience. If you're using your own, I don't think I've ever used it. But to me, I think because both platforms, from what I'm aware of, use external companies to do the collections. I think they're just hiring any Tom, Dick, or Harry that they can find to go and collect the car. I think the winner in this scenario would be the company that literally hired its own drivers and trained these drivers within an inch of their life.
Yeah.
Somebody who,
they need to be inspectors, not drivers. Inspectors.
I totally agree.
The ideal person for the role would be somebody who's got a little bit mechanically minded, so they've got a little bit of an idea when they do drive the car, that they understand what noises are and what they could potentially be, and whether the clutch is engaging correctly, and they can check paintwork, but also someone who can engage with customers and say, well, look, this is what you said, and this is what it is. Because I think until dealers are happy that these inspectors are working for the actual company that we're paying, I don't think it will ever take off in the way that I would want it to. Because it's certainly easier for me as a dealer to just I bought the car off Carwow, right? Yeah, I want to deliver. Click the button, and that's it. I don't have to think. About it.
It's a great system, and it wasn't expensive either.
That's perfect in an ideal world, but it's currently the situation, not just with your platform, but with others as well. It's not ideal, and I don't know how you tackle it other than employing a load of people and training them.
Well, I was going to say the way I've seen it working on a scale like that is finance voluntary terminations. So what happens with a finance voluntary termination is they'll put it out in terms of this car needs collected, but what actually happens first is an inspector literally has an area, so say the northeast, and he'll go and check every single car over. Yeah. And then as soon as he's checked that car over, the driver then comes in behind him. Yeah. So it's not, the driver might not necessarily be with the inspector. It'll be like, right, okay, that car's ready to go. This is the mileage. Don't drive the car. This is the mileage that's on it.
But then it costs so much. There's two members of staff there checking that car. So rather than pay like £1 a mile or $1.50 a mile, somebody's got to cover both the costs.
No, it's just the one, because you've got the inspector, and then obviously the driver comes in at a different. Because, like you say, the driver's day might go to total. Like, look today with Cloudflare, it just might go wrong. Then they bring in another driver within the area, and everyone's sort of on that sort of that journey.
Yeah, there's definitely we have explored having inspectors on mopeds. I think it definitely works. I think the economics of it would work in cities. So, Newcastle, Manchester, London. Mm-hmm. I think it's when you the geographic, because you need to get really good utilization out of them, which we don't have. I mean, we're selling so many cars through the platform. There's definitely enough cars being sold in a city in a given day to make the economics by and large kind of work. But it's when you sort of move out to
it's a logistical nightmare, isn't it?
Yeah. It's hard problems to solve, but I think all these things are definitely achievable, and we've seen really good penetration of we've about 40% of the movements now are all made by Carwow. So and we've seen that grow rapidly, and I totally get the point around the inspectors don't work for the drivers, rather don't work for us, but we do set really high bar in terms of what they need to do. And again, I think the big area of focus for me is to give them technology as an assistant that forces just a level of consistency, and that is I think
lean them down like the garden path, so to say. So you've got to check this and do that. Of course.
Our technicians do that in the workshop when they do the vehicle checks. That it's done in a sequence where they've got to go around the car in a certain way, and they all do the same. It's the same process, really.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, I should come out. I should come up and
100%.
Mind, I'll come up and
I will tell you where you're going wrong, JV.
No,
Don't you worry about that. Going back to the used car, classified proposition.
Yeah.
Where do you think that Carwow can be different to likes of an Autotrader? What can you do different? What's I don't know. I can expand on that question. I suppose. Is there anything unique to it?
Yeah, no, it's a brilliant question. I think for us, the thing we're excited about is trying to sort of combine the content and the car listings, particularly in use, together. So we have built. It's mainly for sort of exploration. So we've built a version of it was called Matt GPT. So you can talk to Matt. And it's using content that he's created. So the underlying model is based on Matt's recommendations. And we've seen good traction with that. But I think it's still early days, but I think sort of moving to a more conversational, I've got 70 journalists in the company. Imagine you could go and talk to a journalist about the car you're buying, that, people that have actually physically driven those cars, going back to the expertise point, nobody else has so many. Literally, we have a press fleet of, sort of 40 cars at any given point. And, we drive all these cars, and that, so I'm sort of interested, there's a lot of this sort of, will people go to marketplaces if, you can go to ChatGPT, but the thing for me is that we have physically driven these cars. We've, in many cases, we drive them for months, and so I'm really keen to sort of combine that sort of insight with recommendations on what to buy, and that I think is really different, and I think very credible because we talk about we have a huge passion for this industry in part because with the biggest the biggest team of journalists, car journalists in the UK. It's not, and so you combine those two things together. So we've talked, it's interesting, you go into like Reddit, for example, and loads of people are on there asking questions about cars. I'm like, well, why don't we do like Q&A on our own platform where you can ask, the editor of Auto Express, he had what did he have? He actually had a Range Rover Sport for a few weeks, actually, as his daily drive. Well, if you want to buy that, why talk to him? Because he's a total expert in that car. And those are the things we can do that no one else can. And those are the things I'm excited about. So
is that something you would give to dealers?
Yeah.
Is that something you so obviously if the Matt GPT or whatever it was.
I love the name, by the way. That's great.
It's the only one that's called that's named after a bloke. But I was thinking, like, if someone went onto Red Gates or Real Easy's website, and those questions could be asked to that chatbot of, here's this journalist. Do you know what I mean? I think that could be something that you can give back to dealers as well with the amount of information.
Yeah, no, that's a really good idea, and we're always happy to share some of the content. And like I say, the one thing is AI cannot drive cars. There are self-driving cars. But ultimately, we're in the business of selling cars that people want to spend time driving. So it's important that humans have driven them, and that we have so much passion for. And I think bringing that into the buying, much closer to this. Again, we talked about there's, if you're buying a used car, they are individual one-offs in many cases. So why buy this one versus the other two that look pretty similar. And I think we could help people with that.
I'm just thinking dealers SEO and everything.
Yeah, I think lots of people talk to me about you've got this sort of price badge on, but ultimately it doesn't all come down to like just the price, because ultimately you need to look at the spec, what's been done to the car, and that I think we could offer different perspectives. Like, of course the price is important, but what are you getting for your money? Because actually, this car's quite unique, and it may look expensive, but actually, it's a really good deal.
You've just touched on something there. What was literally going to be my next question: price markers.
Yeah,
I was thinking that.
Yeah. Do you have them?
We do have them, but we're working on making them better, because They are the problem with price markers for us is that obviously all our competitors have them and consumers, do use them. Whenever we research, they are the most requested feeture from a consumer. Yeah,
right.
Is that just the marker? I mean, obviously on Autotrader, they'll have it's £1,000 overpriced. Would you have that on yours, or would you just have the good, the great, and
the latter,
just the standard? Yeah. So I wouldn't say if it was because that's the one which is my gripe, because then you've got to then get into your advert and then really hook the customer in to explain why your car's more money than everybody else's.
Yeah.
Does your price markers do anything with? It could be with AI or anything, but does it take into account that a car might have better spec?
Yeah, no, it does. So
it does that.
Yeah, so we pull the cap, and on quite a large proportion of the cars now as well, we'll get the option list from cap, so we know what options are on the car, so we can take a good view. I think there's a lot more we can do. I think again, not using AI as this secret sort of solution to all known problems, but I do think there's an ability. The more information we get from dealers, and we obviously augment that with cap data, with data from if the car's been through our auction, we tend to have a lot more information about it. I think price is obviously a quantitative statistic. We want to also look at the qualitative point. I think that there's also a view of often there aren't very many of a particular type of car, a particular trim, make, model, and I think we need to sort of reflect that in terms of saying, well, this car's maybe on the more expensive end, but actually, its residuals are going to be really good. There aren't very many of them, and I think we can do a better job of just injecting more sort of quality into the metrics. So I think what we've got now is relatively basic. It's more high level in terms of its good, poor, excellent. I can't remember the exact verbiage, but there's more we can do.
Something I hear a lot from dealers over the price markers issue is, it can never take into account that, let's say I've got a car for sale, Scott's got a car for sale, and it's the identical car. I've got mine up for 10 grand, Scott's got his up for 9 grand. And, my car has, let's say my car's not as well prepared as Scott's.
Yeah.
My car's got the lower price marker on it. Scott says higher price. Mm-hmm. I've not serviced my car. This wouldn't happen in real life with my dealership, but I'm a make-believe dealer. Let's say I don't service my cars. My car comes out with a 6 months MOT. I've left all the wheels, they're scuffed to bits. But Scott's went that extra distance. All his cars MOT. It's just been serviced. It's got all the full service. Like every box is ticked. What as a dealer, what a real good dealer should do, and a customer should really value those boxes being ticked.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But they're still shown on platforms on top of each other, and the one that shows first and the one that seems more appealing is the dealer who says lower price in the car is nowhere near as good. And how can you ever take that into account? That's what really gets dealers' backs up, if anything, about a price marker on a vehicle.
Does that not come down to information? The information supplied by the dealer.
Yeah, but
I think they should have a rating system, a bit like
accreditation system,
a bit like hotels. You book a holiday, right? And you want to be in a 5-star hotel, a 4-star hotel, or a 3-star or 2. Mm-hmm. The 2's going to be no frills. You get what you get. Yeah. You're gonna stay there. It's not going to be very good. Your 5 stars top end. And if you had a dealer system in place for people on Autotrader, for those who put 12 months MOT on a car with no advisories.
No, Autotrader on Carwow.
On Carwow, yeah. Yeah, do it on that one, yeah.
I'll find the corner.
On Carwow, have courtesy cars, have a workshop, do a warranty with a car. So, the standard tick boxes would put them into a certain, section where a dealer who didn't have all that, then you would look at it and go, well, that dealer's like a 3-star dealer. That's why his car's cheaper. This dealer here is a 5-star dealer. They've got the support. They've got the aftercare. That's why his car's £500 more than his. Then the dealer wouldn't have that mission trying to get across. And then the consumer could search by, if it was like a star rating like a hotel, you'd search your dealers of a certain standard.
Yeah.
The ones at the bottom probably wouldn't be very happy with it.
I mean, I think it needs to be a fair reflection of some people may say, well, actually, I just don't care. I'm going to buy the cheapest car. Others may say, well, I prefer to buy, one that's more expensive, that's, been looked after. It's been prepared really well. And I suppose people have choices then.
But it actually forces a better outcome for the consumer as well, because if all the dealers are competing with each other to make themselves better and prepare the cars better, it's only going to be better for the customer buying the car.
It means it's an even playing field, because if you had somebody like Cinch who maybe puts a car out with 6 months MOT, and they were a 3-star rated dealer or a 4-star rated dealer because of that, they might look at that and think, well, actually, we'll put 12 months on every car.
Yeah.
So then, because they're spending the money on the prep, it's making it even with everybody else, so it becomes level. Yeah.
What we did with Dealerway, wasn't it? We decided to implement the dealer rating because then when someone hadn't dealt with that dealer, they knew what the description was going to be like, whether it was going to be accurate or not. Yeah. It was the whole principle.
I think, I think two things are. Well, first of all, I think I'm going to play this back to my team when it goes live on YouTube. So I'll play it back and definitely give this some thought. The other thing though I think is quite interesting is if you look at people's use of things like Gemini or ChatGPT, I think there is a change actually in that. For me, the most amazing thing is you ask it a question, and then often rather the key difference between search and LLM, from my perspective, is that search will give you the answer maybe, and then you do some digging around. But an LLM will come back and say, right, here's the kind of answer, but these are the things you need to think about, and potential questions you're asking. You feel like I think it empowers you to become an expert, doesn't it? Because you think, oh, right, okay, and that's where I think there is an opportunity to try and use this technology to say, look, this car is £1,000 cheaper, but actually it's not been serviced, or it's only got 3 months MOT. And these are the likely impacts on its valuation that you should take into consideration. So I do think consumers will be much better armed actually in terms of just asking the right questions and being able to understand value. And it's my job to go away and figure out how we do that. Because like you say, I think just having other cars that are like this are £1,000 less expensive is whilst may appear useful, is clearly in many cases not. And you want a marketplace where, when we go back to choice, I think many people have a preference to buy from a dealer because they want to buy something that's been well cared for, it's safe, it's and showing that work's being done is important, I think, to a massive segment of people.
Could you imagine putting into the search filters from a consumer point of view, if there was a sliding scale saying this, I only want cars that have been serviced in the last 3 months, I only want cars that have been MOT'd in the last 2 months.
That'd be cool, actually, isn't it? Yeah.
Serviced up to manufacturer levels.
And then also full part service history. Yeah. From a consumer point of view, I think they'd be heavily used.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm gonna end up paying you guys loads of these 250 quid for all these ideas.
I was gonna say, when do I start?
Martin's only 225.
225. We split Martin, Stephen. We split his.
TV, a couple of last things. Pricing for a dealer to be on the platform, is that public, or is that something that you speak to, individual basis and come to deals with? How does that work?
Yeah, it depends on the circumstances in terms of how many cars, etc. So if anybody's interested in joining the platform, literally drop me an email without doing a plug. I'm jv@carwow.com, and I can put you in touch with somebody in the team.
Just try and get a vague idea. If I wanted to put all of Real Easy Car Credit's cars on there, let's say we want to do a 70 car package, what's that going to cost us? Roughly?
God, I'm not very good at doing the maths, Stephen. Typically our sort of entry level price is around £15 per listing.
Per month.
Yeah, that's where we start from. So
right.
But yeah, if you want to chat in more detail, then we can put you in touch with the team who can sort of help you through.
Obviously, because you've been on the pod and we're pals now, I'm going to get that cheaper on.
I'm already in debt to you guys for the ideas.
In lieu of the $250 an hour.
We'll just edit this piece out.
No, you should definitely, we could definitely do a good deal for you guys.
Jimmy, if you had one piece of advice for dealers reviewing that that 2026 plans, you know, with all this stuff that's happened with Autotrader and what have you, and with everything you're putting together, what would it be?
I think the big point for me is that you know, I have had a lot of calls in terms of people wanting quite rightly wanting to see some change in the industry in terms of more competition. So, you know, I'm really keen to do everything we can. Obviously, it's going to take some time for us to keep ramping up and making the product better and really fit for purpose. But I think if people want that opportunity to sort of help us grow and create a really good number 2 competitor in this space, then we are here to listen and collaborate and work to see what we can collectively build for the industry. And if people want to chat to me about that, then I'm super happy to do so.
And finally, obviously, if a dealer is listening and wants to explore working with Carwow, obviously, we've got quite a few listeners, JV, and I don't want you getting 1,000 emails in your inbox. So
my sister Maria's going to kill me. She's going,
I bet she will. I bet she will. So, is there any a sort of official way to go about doing that? Do they go on the website?
There is a link. If you go to Carwow, you can contact the team on there as well. But honestly, I don't mind. If people want to email me, feel free to, and I will. I'll make sure everybody gets into an account manager contacts and reaches out, and we can see what we can do.
Fantastic, JV. I just want to take the time to thanks for coming on. I know you're a very busy man, and I know I've posed a few tough questions for you towards the end there, but
that's good. I enjoyed it. No, thank you for all the ideas, guys. I'm taking copious notes.
Martin, will you do us a favour and just get Lee to write out the invoice? We'll put it down as what? Us three, 250 an hour. We've done an hour and a half. I think he's getting a good deal there. Just bill him a grand.
We genuinely, actually, if you do have time and you're in London, I'd love to host you guys in the office. And
definitely.
I'm down tomorrow. Is anybody from Carwow with the awards?
Oh, look, let's go straight in there.
Oh, I'm in. I'm in.
Get the champagne out.
No, I'm saying I'm down tomorrow for the awards. Are you going? Is anybody there from Carwow?
Yeah.
The industry awards.
Yeah, we've got a team there. Yeah, and if you've time, Scott, and you want to pop in and get some of the product team in, if you're around, I'd love to host you.
Well, I think maybe it's the next time when we're down together, Scott, for a meeting or whatever, we'll pop in. Yeah, definitely.
We'll come in here, because last time we went in, I went in twice and it was good. It was really good, and what a bit of a brainstorming idea. There was just myself and a buyer went down the first time with Dan Robson from your end.
Yeah.
Dan, great. Yeah, he's a great lad. He's great support. He looks after us, and it was good, yeah. And then it was like the dealer thing when the few dealers came down. But we ended up going out in London and it turned a bit messy, but that's what we do. Geordie's, it's a Geordie thing.
Geordie's, yeah.
Well, to be fair, it's going to get messy tomorrow because it's Carwow v Dealerway. It's one of the awards, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is, yeah, that's right.
It is, yeah.
We're shortlisted. I would just like to say you haven't got a chance. It's going to be Dealerway.
Right, so I'm going to end up losing, and then I owe you 750 quid. God.
Right, John. Thanks for your time, mate. Really appreciate you coming on. And for everyone else, if you're still stuck around till the end listening to us waffle on, I really appreciate that. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Thanks.
Thank you.